Hello, everybody. Welcome today. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be able to do this presentation today. My name is Beryl Stromsta, and I'm a senior transformational coach and group facilitator at the Wright Foundation for the Realization of Human Potential. And I'm actually a master's graduate at the Wright Graduate University. So we have quite a few joining us by webcast, probably about 60 or 70 people today. So if we could just turn and wave. Hi, everybody. Just so they know that they're part of us. When I started the Wright Graduate University, I had already been a professional coach, I think for about 12 years at that point, and I was pretty skeptical about doing another master's degree because, as I said, I already had a master's degree, and I was kind of done with school for reasons I'll go into, which I was talking to Brandon about a little bit before. School had been challenging for me in the past, and I realized that I had some limiting beliefs about myself and my intelligence that were playing into that I didn't really realize in the time. But I saw how the students in the Wright Graduate University were actually transforming their lives, and they were becoming more powerful, more influential. Their network was expanding, and I noticed they were in more rapport with people, and it was really intriguing to me, and I decided I wanted to do it too. And I decided to get my second master's degree. So it did not disappoint. In fact, I would honestly say that it far exceeded my expectations. It was very different than anything I had already experienced in any of my schooling, from elementary all the way up to my 2 graduate degrees. And I'll say a little bit about why it was so different, which is one of the things that makes the graduate university so unique. So despite my initial skepticism, this degree transformed my coaching, my leadership. It improved my influence across the board in every area of life exponentially, and it was more valuable and applicable to my entire life than my other 2 graduate degrees combined. So I know that sounds like an extreme statement, but it's really, really true. So by studying and applying the topic in particular that I'm going to present today, the drama triangle, I was able to see and change how I was disempowering myself, and I was disempowering myself, I realized, on a number of different levels. And I was chronically dissatisfied in my marriage, in my work, and in particular, how I was holding my value as a coach and leader, and I was dissatisfied as a mother. So today's presentation is part of what we're doing, which is called an Idea Cafe for the Graduate University, so we can educate on really important ideas that open minds and transform lives. So the main topic, as you know, is the drama triangle, and I'm going to be covering several things today. One, I'm going to be covering what the drama triangle is, so you know what is this drama thing, and what the 3 main roles in the drama triangle are. What leads to drama behavior, really important to understand, underneath there, where is this coming from, how you can recognize the drama triangle, how you can move beyond it to get to personal responsibility and satisfaction, and finally, how our Wright educational methodology and curriculum can actually help you live drama-free lives and lives of increasing responsibility and power. Well, that sounds good, right? Okay. It also, another thing, it really dramatically increases the possibility of your potential, and what I found is the people who did this degree really went beyond what their original hopes and vision was when they entered the program and developed core skills to become a transformational force in their lives, and that helped with me, and also helped me start to get a sense of what is my mission in the world, and it's to burn with my own mission in the world, which has been very, very gratifying. So the Wright graduate curriculum is based on 30 years of research. There's a lot of research that goes into this by Drs. Bob and Judith Wright. And at the center of our educational model is really you as the student. This is student-based learning, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. We call it yearning-based learning, which basically means that it's your core interests, your curiosity, your passion that you are following in this program. Your purpose is at the center of this learning. Your mission is at the center of this learning. So it leads to a dynamic of a sort of whole life transformation as you learn about how to interact with yourself, how to interact with the world, and apply the concepts to yourself so that you can be the most authentic, powerful, and influential you. It has contributed, as I said, to my own growth in profound ways, and also as a leader and coach. So today's presentation on the drama triangle, we're going to look at how understanding and reducing it can help you reclaim your power and transform yourself as a person, a leader, and coach everywhere you go. One of the reasons I chose this topic, there was many, many topics that I could have chosen for today. One of the reasons I chose it is because the drama was something that cut through every aspect of my life. As I said, I was dissatisfied chronically in every area of life before I came to Wright, and I realized that the drama had a lot to do with it. So as I was in this program, every time I started a new quarter and every time I felt challenged, I saw that drama triangle with me in very unproductive ways. So I thought this would be a good topic because it really, working on this and reducing it has caused me to be so much more powerful, and it cuts across everything in every area of our life. One of the things, when I came here, I didn't experience myself as powerful, and the drama triangle is why. So even after I had everything I thought I should have in life, I was married, I had a wonderful daughter, I had 2 graduate degrees, I had a house, I had a nice lifestyle, I felt powerless, and I felt chronically dissatisfied. So I already had, as I said, my two degrees. I'd also been a survivor of a very rare type of cancer. So you'd think, oh, I'm a survivor. That's great. I should, really, be able to see that I have power if I could overcome that and be able to use that towards other things. But it really involved a choice that I didn't understand right away until I started studying the drama triangle. So I came to understand that we all have ways of thinking, and my thinking was problematic, responding and behaving that block and reduce our power and authenticity in our lives. So I learned that this is really important. I understood that it wasn't about what I experienced in my life. It wasn't about my circumstances. It really was that it was about how I chose to respond to my circumstances. And that's a key part and element of the drama triangle is learning that you may have circumstances in your life, but it's not how you react to them automatically, it's how you respond to them that gives you the power to move you out of the drama triangle and make more new choices that may be more satisfying and empowering. So I want to share and educate on that tonight, this afternoon, how important it is to bring awareness to it so that we can make the conscious choices, and in doing so, we can create a world that works for everyone, which, by the way, is our mission at Wright. So a world that works for everyone. That sounds good. I loved this picture. I found this yesterday. It just so illustrated exactly what I'm going to talk about. So let's look at what is drama. If we look in the dictionary and look at the definition of drama, it's an action or a play. It originated in the ancient Greek theaters. And there's generally in a play, what makes a good play is high emotion and lots of drama, and it's played out in a dramatic way. And if you think of what makes a good drama, a victim. Can you imagine one of those characters might be the victim? Maybe the person in the middle might be the victim. There's usually a persecutor. One of those might be the persecutor, and also a rescue or savior. That's if you look at our world and you look at fairy tales and you look at soap operas, there's always a persecutor, a rescuer, and a victim. That's what makes a good drama. So Cinderella, for example. Cinderella is the victim. Her stepsisters and her stepmother are the persecutor, and the prince is the rescuer. So you've got all the elements of a good drama. It makes things alive and exciting, but it's really a pseudo-aliveness. Drama is not a real aliveness, even though there's some level of energy in it. It's really not true, satisfying aliveness. But there's always a bad character, a good character, and someone who just wants to be the hero and save the day. So drama is also alive and well in our lives, as you imagine, and probably why you're here today, and in all of our relationships. So can you think of other people, not you of course, who might do some of the following things? You can put yourself in the mind of the observer for a second. People who complain, people who gossip, people who moan, blame others, shame themselves, criticize themselves, try to solve other people's problems instead of their own, and a lot more. So what this drama refers to is basically the concept of unproductive communication pattern that exists in a system. This comes from Dr. Eric Burns' theory of transactional analysis. And at its simplest level, transactional analysis is a method for studying unproductive interactions between people and what the function of those interactions are. So Byrne called them game behaviors. And I'm certain you have experienced this when you're with someone in these types of interactions. It's draining, it doesn't feel good, and it can even be destructive. Can everybody kind of think of situations where that might have played out? I'm saying nods, yes. Okay. Okay. So the drama triangle is one type of transactional model or game behavior, and it was developed by one of Eric Berne's students, and his name was Stephen Karpman. So this triangle here represents a pattern of unproductive communication through habitual roles that we play, and each of these points is one of those roles. So remember those roles we mentioned before in the dramas? The victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. So what do they all have in common? They are power blockers. They all block your authenticity and your power and your influence in life. In other words, they reduce our power. They seem to spin round and round. They don't resolve conflict, and for sure, they don't result in a satisfying outcome for anybody involved. None of these roles, also another thing they have in common, none of them take personal responsibility. When you're locked in one of these scripts or roles, there really is no personal responsibility. They're unconscious, automatic, reflexive responses and reactions to avoid the actual emotions you're feeling. And this is really important, to understand that all of these scripts are effects to avoid the emotion or the pain you might be feeling and not get your needs met and avoid the needs that you're having. Maybe you're not aware of them, maybe you don't need to know how to get them met. But they keep that unproductive system of communication intact to ensure that things will actually not change and our needs will not get met. So we engage in drama, as I said, when we're not getting our needs met or don't know how to get our needs met. We engage in drama when we're frustrated, when we're upset, when we have strong emotion and we don't know how to express that responsibly. So instead of actually doing it responsibly, we may gossip or complain or collude with somebody. It's kind of like we're wanting attention, but we don't quite know how to get productive attention. It's kind of like candy. Like it seems like it would be really yummy and satisfying, but it's not. You're left with this feeling of eek, kind of icky feeling. It's not a good nourishing meal for the heart and soul. We also might try to connect with other people through complaining when what we really want is to feel connected and understood. So some of the costs, I'm sure you can think of some of the costs right here as we're sitting here in your own lives, but some of the costs are unproductive, as we said, communication, lack of resolution of conflicts with other people, unsatisfying relationships, reduced productivity at work, not being able to be in good rapport with people. There's so many, I can't possibly go through them all, but do an inventory as you're sitting here. I'm sure you can spot some in your lives. Can everybody think of some? Okay, great. So let's take a little bit more look in detail at each of those roles. You can see that each of those roles has a phrase in parens there. See if you can spot yourself now in these examples, okay? So the rescuers, remember how I said that they were game behavior? So the rescuer's game is, I feel better if you feel better. You got to join it, raising your hand in the room. So really the rescuer tries to solve other people's problems rather than taking responsibility for their own. Now the way this rescuer shows up, I'm going to give you some examples. So martyr, someone who acts like a martyr, my mother. Saintly, you're always right. I'm sorry, I'm so nice. Is everything okay? Bless your heart, I know what you need and you don't. Let me do it for you. I can do it. I know what you, oh yeah. So the rescuer focused on others rather than taking responsibility, as I said, for their own needs. So the persecutor, on the right, the persecutor's game is, I feel better if you feel worse. Oops, let me get this back in order. Okay. Some examples of the persecutor are self-righteous behavior, angry, punishing, blaming, raging, crazy, controlling, I told you so, I know it all, disdainful, vindictive, the silent treatment, passive aggression, guilt tripping, after all I've done for you. Nobody's ever heard that before, right? So the victim's game is, I'm no good for anything, and they try to prove that, and they don't stop. The victim is, seriously, they're very, very committed to it. I know this one. The victim is helpless, sad sack, whiny, sometimes can be demanding of help, damsel in distress, poor me, life is so hard, drama queen or king. We all have a favorite go-to. Mine was the victim. I want to show you a clip that I found really amusing to illustrate this point. So Ethan's going to be kind enough to show us a little clip.
Whoa, that's not good. need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are 2 people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something?
Help!
I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's nothing else left to do, is there?
Don't worry. It's the human condition. We all live with drama. So if you can see yourself in those characters, don't worry. It's really not a character flaw. It is unproductive and disempowering, but it is not a character flaw. It really is just a block to us being fully authentic. It's what we learned in our childhood. I'll go into that a little bit in a few minutes. But when you think of someone else as the person to blame, or when you shame yourself, when you justify your behavior, you give excuses for yourself, you just pretty much guarantee that you're going to be powerless. You could see that they were not powerless. We could put the PowerPoint back up, thanks. They were not powerless. They had all the choice in the world to use their feet to go up or down and get off that escalator. But that's the perspective in the drama triangle. We don't feel like we have any power to choose any differently, and really we do. I have a funny illustration. When I was, as I said, one of the reasons I chose this topic was because it really was so woven in my life, and I saw it playing out in many ways. And when I was in the graduate university, and I would sit down to write a paper, and this is an illustration of how you can be in the drama triangle all by yourself. You don't even need another person to be in the drama triangle. So I would sit down to write a paper, and I would have thoughts like, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm not a good writer. I'm not really smart. I'm going to get an F. I'm going to fail. And then I would criticize myself. So first I was the victim, and then I would change to the persecutor. And this would happen for the first year or so, almost every time I would sit down to write a paper. And then I would persecute myself, like, what's wrong with you? You know how to write. People have told you you're a good writer. You should be able to do this. You should manage your time better. You know, I just would like go off and off. And then I would avoid myself I would rescue myself by avoiding myself, and I would go in the kitchen and have some food, and I would go on Facebook, and I would play with my cat, and then I would come back to the paper and maybe get a little bit done, and then that cycle would just keep going over and over and over again. So I didn't really need anybody else to be in the drama triangle. And that's one of the biggest things that changed for me once I really started to get a handle on this drama triangle thing. And, you know, I also realized I have to have a sense of humor about this. If you don't have a sense of humor about it, it's really hard to look at this. This is not what you'd call, you're all brave, by the way, this is not what you call a pleasant topic to talk about, right? It's not, it's not like fun, you know, to look at, oh, how am I a victim? How am I a persecutor? How am I a rescuer? And to have conversations with other people about that. So sense of humor is really a blessing. I highly recommend it. So let's talk about where this comes from. Where does drama come from? You're not born with it, I promise. So to understand what causes us to engage in drama, we study the concept at the Wright Graduate University through multiple different lenses and fields. For example, we look at it through the lens of Adlerian psychology and developmental psychology. We look at it through the lens of neuroscience, which is really big these days, and also emotional intelligence, which I'm not just naming 4 that I think are particularly key, and also existential psychology in terms of making choices about how we respond to our worlds. But by looking at a concept such as the drama triangle through these multiple lenses, we can begin to understand our internal programming, which we call our matrix. So this is understanding our matrix, and this is through the lens of, partly through the lens of Alfred Adler, who was a famous psychologist that we study in the Wright Graduate University. And this helps us understand that it really is our internal experience that we get in our early childhood experiences that sets the stage for drama. So Adler believed that our early childhood experiences determine what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about the world. And it is those mistaken beliefs, sometimes called limiting beliefs, that cause us to repeat these disempowering patterns and destructive patterns of communication or self-dialogue. So the drama then limits our potential. You can see the big ball there, the ball and chain. It limits our potential and keeps us from manifesting our power fully. And it is consciousness and awareness of these, this complex of mistaken or limiting beliefs called our matrix, and taking personal responsibility for those patterns of habitual reactions that are stemming from our limiting thoughts, our early childhood experience. So I had a limiting belief that I wasn't okay and I wasn't capable. So can you see that, how that played out when I was sitting down to write a paper? Then I'd be like, I can't do this. I'm not capable is my belief. So then the thoughts were habitually, I can't do this. And they would just keep flooding into my brain until I kept looking at this and choosing new responses. And that was, by the way, a lot of my initial reluctance to go back to school. So this huge ball or complex of limiting beliefs that you see on the screen, they hold us back and they reduce our power. Like another one is I'm not lovable, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't matter. And we all have these, by the way. There's no one that doesn't have these limiting or mistaken beliefs. They drag us down and they really disempower our transformation and what we want to accomplish in the world. And then there are also states of mind that can trigger those mistaken beliefs, like being chronically anxious, something that I have dealt with for a lot of my life. And that repeats and triggers these disempowering thoughts like, I can't do it, it's too hard, and the unproductive trauma or drama of the drama triangle. So at that point, when that's happening, I've lost my passion, I've lost my purpose, I've lost my desire, I've lost my way, and I'm stuck in this repeat cycle, you know, of the washing machine or whatever. Okay, the field of neuroscience is really cool because a lot of the research recently in the field of neuroscience helps us learn how, it really is showing us how our brain is connected to this whole thing and how to change our disempowering ways of thinking. So neuroscience demonstrates that if we can label our affect or feelings, we can exercise our power and intervene in our automatic reflexive programming. Now, Dan Siegel, he's a famous neuroscientist. He's wrote a number of books. And he's an author, and he developed a theory called name it to tame it. So he explained that by labeling your emotions, basically saying them out loud, it causes you to activate your frontal lobe on the screen, the part of your brain where you literally can slow down your body and your mind. And this is the place where you have the power to move out of the drama, connect with your body, and consciously choose your response. Because most of the time it feels like we don't have a choice about how we automatically respond. But by doing this, it gives you a choice. So reclaiming your power involves consciously and responsibly choosing to be your most authentic and powerful and influential self. So we learn that we can reclaim our power when we take responsibility to change a situation or a response to it, rather than reacting reflexively according to those limiting beliefs and programming. So notice the distinction that I'm wanting to make a distinction between the concept of reacting and the concept of responding, and they seem like they're pretty similar. But this quote is by one of my heroes, Viktor Frankl, who I discovered in the Wright Graduate University, and it really beautifully illustrates this concept of responding versus reacting. Let me tell you a little bit about Viktor Frankl, because he's an amazing, inspiring man. He survived the Auschwitz death camp. I'm pretty sure all of the rest of his family perished in the camp. But the quote is, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Yeah. After I discovered Viktor Frankl, who I had been exposed to when I was in my undergrad and my first master's, but really it was meaningless to me. I didn't understand it. When I discovered him, I read, for 1 quarter, I think I wrote about him in every single paper I wrote, because I was so empowered and inspired by this concept that my freedom is in my hands. My growth is in my hands. I'm not just someone going through this world with things happening to me that I have to just deal with. I have the power to choose. It's pretty inspiring. Okay, so in the Wright Graduate University, in addition to studying a concept such as the drama triangle, you study it cognitively through multiple lenses, which you do at most universities. But a key part of this learning model is the integration. And what that means is that every quarter, not only do you explore a concept cognitively through a number of different lenses, but you apply the learning directly to yourselves and your world. So every time I learned a new aspect of the drama triangle, I would take it into my life. I looked at how was it playing out in my life, in my relationships, and how I feel about myself. And I had an assignment to practice a new way of thinking and behaving every single week. And each quarter I went out and I influenced and taught other people this concept, whatever I was learning about the drama triangle or the other concepts I was learning. And I would lead other people individually and in groups through coaching and leadership. And this is really what makes our university so unique, is that it is an integrative education that combines cognitive learning with direct and immediate application, which includes you as the student practicing new thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and looking at how it all fits together into a unified whole. So it's a way of living and understanding yourself and your world in a much more powerful way. So the focus, as you see, is on you as a student and deepening your impact as a person and a leader and a coach. It's very different than other graduate programs. After the core courses in the graduate programs, you actually do what's called a capstone, which in other master's degrees might be called a thesis, and there are some capstone programs. But basically, it's an in-depth paper that integrates everything you learned across the entire program. It centers around a core theme that has been very central to your own emergence and your own work, in the blocks you've come up against, or the mission or purpose that you have discovered. I personally used my capstone to deepen my journey around reclaiming my power and facing fears of the unknown, which were really fears of my own unconscious. And through my work on understanding the drama and how it was blocking my power and creating this pseudo-aliveness, and changing that, I was able to dive more deeply into places I had never gone before and discover things about myself and my power that I'd never seen before. It was very empowering. So, to conclude, thank you so much for being here. I hope you got something for yourself and you found it thought-provoking and informative. Here are some sources that I used to create this talk. If you would like, are interested in learning more or getting this, let me know. I'll put my contact information up on the screen. This presentation will also be uploaded to YouTube, so you can review it if you would like and share it. Let me know if you want the PowerPoint deck also, or if you have any questions you want to contact me further. You may contact me at Beryl at Wright Living, and go to www.wrightgrad.edu. Or you can contact me or link in with me on LinkedIn, LinkedIn or Facebook. So again, thank you for being here. I want to say that part of this, why I wanted to do this, is because every time I teach this and present this, it actually deepens my own journey even further, and it helps me support you to see even more powerful possibilities for your life. And I'll end with a quote, which is by Gandhi: "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." Thank you so much.